Good morning, it's Gina from Quiet Life Homestead, and today we're going to have a little talk about freeze dryers. Specifically, harvest right freeze dryers, because there are other freeze dryers on the market, and those I can't speak to, but this one I can. In short, very short, brief summary, don't buy a harvest right until you have seen some videos about the people who aren't super pro harvest right. There's a reason for that. I will tell you that every single food item that I have freeze dried from harvest right for long term storage has gone bad. Part of that was because of a move where we think that the food got left out in non-temperature controlled storage. So that's on us, and obviously not part of Harvest Right's problem. But I think what I'm saying is that there have been things wrong with the freeze dryer probably from the very beginning that we didn't catch. So I finally got an error message about February. So it's about 6 months ago, okay? Which the freeze dryer had been quirky before. It had given strange messages every once in a while, but I had looked them up. There was nothing to it. I couldn't find anything about it. They send you a book, but it's really not very comprehensive about things you have to do. We got the oilless pump, which turned out to be a huge dud for Harvest Right. They stopped selling it. Not the, let's see, is it the oilless? It's the low profile oilless pump, which turned out to be a dud. They don't offer the low profile anymore. So when you get an oilless, oil free, whatever pump, it's the tall, regular pump, which is fine. So first of all, I want to talk about the customer service. Since March, I have been back and forth with Harvest Right well over 200 emails. When I tell you that it's been like a full-time job trying to get this freeze dryer fixed and straight, it is. If you naively think that when you have a problem with Harvest Right, they'll send out a technician to work on something, they won't. That is not part of their customer service options. You cannot have, there's no such thing. So what that means is if you are going to buy the freeze dryer, either you or someone you know better be really handy if things go wrong. I used to work in a lab making glasses. Thankfully, I have a little bit of machine experience as far as like cleaning machines and, routine maintenance on them and, not being terrified. But I will say this was extra intimidating to open up the freeze dryer. First of all, because we had so much invested in it, we bought like the best of the best at the time, and I think we paid almost $5,000 for everything all together. That's accessories and the pump and all the things. We upgraded the pump. That upgrade was like $1,500 for the pump. So when I tell you that the first thing that the customer service agent tells me is that he's surprised that we got 2 years out of that pump because most people were only getting 6 months. I was horrified. Most people were only getting 6 months out of this pump. You didn't issue a recall. And I actually said this to him. I said, listen, I've been in customer service 20 years. The fact that you had a bad pump and you didn't let people know and give them an option to fix it is shocking and unbelievable. So it's determined that the pump is bad. Well, the oilless pump, they pass it off as being like, you never have to do anything to it. You don't have to put oil in it. You don't have to change the oil. You don't have to do anything. What they don't tell you is there's a little filter in the back that you do have to change. Figure that out. If you get one of those oil-free pumps, which we don't have anymore because we bought another one, there is something you have to change. You're going to have to be proactive and seek it out for yourself. There's a guy on YouTube that's a lot more helpful than Harvest Right. It's called Retired at 40, I think. He does nothing but freeze dryer stuff. He's awesome. I learned a lot from him. And the Harvest Right videos that they send you are pretty subpar. So you will be your own technician. They will monitor you over the phone. You'll do video call after video call. You'll be told that you're not doing it right, and so they're sure that the problem is on your end. Well, you didn't go to school to be a technician to fix Harvest Right. At the end of the day, my pump was bad, so they sent me a replacement pump at my expense. Okay, so I'm buying a new pump I think I bought a refurbished one for like $400 more. So as I'm going through this process, I'm racking up bills, for a useless piece. I've had my Harvest Right since 2022. It's 24 now. And for almost a year of it, I didn't even use it because we moved across the country. So I know for sure that steady usage of it would have brought on and all the problems sooner. So at first it was the pump. So we replaced, at first it was just the valve. It was the drain valve. So they made me wait for like a week, and then they sent out the part, and it was 2 more weeks. And I was like, good grief. And then finally he told me I could just go buy the part at the store, which I did. And I ended up putting it in. Okay, no problem. Still didn't work. The mTORs weren't dropping below the temperature. Then that's the other thing, is the technician gave a ton of conflicting information. He was just like, well, you should be able to freeze dry at 1,000. I was like, well, it says 500 on the video you sent me. So it was back and forth, this long, just crazy nonsense. Gradually, from there, we replaced the hoses. There's a leak somewhere. We got to find it, replace the hoses. Then you have to tape off all the joints of all the hoses. You got to get into the machine. Then you got to tape off all these points in the machine. Then it was like, okay, well, it must be the motherboard. It was just this constant, basically, one by one, every part on this freeze dryer has been replaced, including at the end, they send me a pump. Then we check the pump. It's still not working. So they do everything else except admit it could possibly be the refurbished pump that they sent me. So we do everything else. We run all these tests, 200 emails back and forth. And I'm like, hey, this isn't my full-time job. I don't have the time. And then they're browbeating you basically and calling you every day and seeing if you've done the next thing, or how is it going? I understand that this is, you're trying to close this ticket, but I have life happening. We had a tornado, so we had power outage in the middle of the testing that I had to run. You have to learn how to send them the logs, which is very bizarre if you're not familiar with all of this stuff. It was a whole learning curve, and it was just stuff I couldn't deal with on every single day. So at the end of the day, we determined that this is not a problem that can be fixed here. It has to be boxed up and sent back to Harvest Right. Now, I remember it came on a crate, on a pallet. So I was like, this is going to be... So here's what the Harvest Right solution is. They did give me some of the parts for free. Okay, I'll give that to them, which was partly because I complained. And I was just like, look, this is outrageous. This is outrageous that you charge for every single thing, and that I'm basically spending more and more money for a defective machine. So the return kit that you have to buy from Harvest Right is $395. So now I'm in for another, what is it? I'm at like $800 now. Additionally, besides the five I initially invested. So now we're at $800 and it's still not even fixed. So they've told me that it'll be between $50 and $300 to fix it. Now, Harvest-Right has had problems with leaking from the very beginning. If you look on the internet, you will find plenty of videos that support this. I did not know that at the time that I purchased it, but there are other brands now that I would 100% recommend and not go with Harvest-Right. However, once you're in with Harvest-Right, either I want a machine that actually works, or I want a dead big box that I wasted $5,000 on. So there really is no choice. Once they have you in that pipeline, you sort of have to follow it to its natural conclusion. And I was just like, look, whether I sell this machine or I try to make it work, I have to have a working machine. I can't sell this, piece of metal. And I've been through this whole machine. So if you need any advice on any parts of it, I'm your gal. So anyway, I say all this to say, please be cautious. And, it's not the magic bullet and fix all that it appears to be, especially if you're going to do it. Like, we started using it to do snacks for our local farmers market. It was super fun, but I kept hearing these cracks, like snaps and cracks, and I was like, what is going on with the freeze dryer? And when I explained that to the guy, he was like, oh yeah, that's your pump going bad. Well, I looked all over the place. I could not find anything about that. I looked in the book. There was absolutely nothing about, hey, if it starts making a funny noise, you need to call customer service as soon as possible. There's a lot of problems. So anyway, the end of the tale is that it's sitting out in my carport now. My husband and I had to lift it. It's 225 pounds. I just know because I just saw the shipping label. You pay $395 and they will send you a little return kit, which these terrible straps and the box packaging, you have to watch a video and do it exactly like they say. You have to take pictures of all sides of the machine so that, they'll approve working on it. They won't work on it if it's, whatever. And then that covers them shipping it back to you, supposedly. And I told the guy, so listen, I am not authorizing one more payment for anything else. This better be exactly what you told me, because there was a lot of things that he told me at the time that, weren't true. One of the things he told me was that the hose that was the drain hose you could buy that at the local like big box store. That is not true. It's proprietary to Harvest-Right. Whenever you need a part you have to buy it directly from Harvest-Right. The only exception I would say was the drain valve, because it's pretty straightforward. It's just a valve. Anyway, so it's sitting out in my carport. It'll be $395 for the return and for it to come back. The repairs will be between $500 and $300. So I guess 300 is the max, 50 is the lowest it'll be. So I still am on the hook for another. So I bought a new pump and that was like $400. I am returning it, so that's $400, and then I will be in for probably another $300 repair. So we're looking at $1,100 to keep my machine that doesn't work. And that hasn't worked in a long time properly, because I just opened some raw eggs that I freeze dried and they're all bad. Some vegetables that I freeze dried and did in glass containers and air, sucked out the air and everything, those are bad. You can actually see you can see them. They're all white and chalky looking. So basically, my chickens have eaten every single product we've ever made in the freeze dryer. So I just wanted to put it out there. Unless you're into very bad, I think poor company service. The people were nice enough as far as customer service goes, but as far as your policies go, they clearly don't stand behind their product. They absolutely 100% knew there's been problems with them leaking. They had problems with that pump. They just couldn't handle the volume. After 2020, everybody wanted a freeze dryer, of course. And so I just think they grew too big for what they could handle. And I think that their business model is sort of like, once we get you, we've got you. And so you're kind of trapped, really. So I don't like that. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents about Harvest Right. Think carefully before you buy, and I'll see you on the next one.